Good morning. Welcome to the Desert Sanctuary. This morning I wanted to talk to you. Just notice I haven't shaved. But good morning. I'm glad that you're here. Several months ago, my daughter shared with me a TikTok, and I don't even know how to use TikTok, and certainly haven't incorporated it into my daily life. Not that I'm against it or anything like that. And TikTok videos come up and other stuff. But my daughter shared a video, something from TikTok. It was by Pastor Joseph Yu, and he appears to be an Episcopal priest. But he talked about when he was in Starbucks and someone stopped him in Starbucks, seeing his collar, and stopped him and wanted to commiserate about the way the church is being persecuted. And he just responded, like most pastors would. Sometimes the temptation is to go, yeah, the church is being persecuted. And then we kind of use that for fuel, for sermons and things to get sympathy and things like that. But this pastor said to this person, maybe the church is not being persecuted. Maybe there's a second conclusion that the church or Christianity is not being persecuted, that maybe it's under review. And that's what I want to talk about this morning. The church or Christianity is not being persecuted, especially in the United States. And don't send me comments about, well, it definitely is in this part of whatever country. But in the United States in general, the church or Christianity is not being persecuted. It's under review. Everywhere I look, people are taking breaks from church and leaving the church to do exactly what I did. That is, they're not trying to destroy the church. They're not necessarily mad. They may have had some trauma. They might be a little angry, but they're not necessarily just this angry, sinful, sliding down the slippery slope type of people. Most of the people that are leaving the church, that are stepping outside of organized religion, are taking breaks to evaluate whether institutional church is even necessary. And I know that sounds scary to you if you're still inside organized religion. I know it comes as a shock that people would say that what you do may or may not be necessary, but I think most of them are making that evaluation for themselves. But I would say it this way: everybody that's not heavily brainwashed and that's not heavily indoctrinated and addicted to organized religion is beginning to see that organized religion in the United States, at least, needs at least a major overhaul, if not a complete reimagining. The conclusion that people come to, not when they're inside, not when you're participating and you're somewhat addicted to church and organized religion, but when you step outside, when you take some time off. Someone challenged us to take like a year off. They challenged us to take a year off from church. And they said, if you can't take a year off, then you might want to ask why you can't. What keeps you from doing that? And why you can't just take a break, a hiatus, and take a step back and see from the outside what it looks like out there. When people say that the church needs an overhaul, the church needs to be reimagined, it needs to be changed, and some people say we'll change it from the inside, we'll just affect it in there. And the problem I have with that is that I was a pastor for 20 years, and when I was a pastor, change didn't hardly ever happen. We would even replant churches. That's what I did, is kind of restart or replant churches, and we would replant them with the idea that we're going to be totally different. we're doing this in a new way. We're doing a new thing. We're starting anew, and it's fresh. And I would notice that no matter what intentions I started with, over time it would change and it would morph back very, very close to what we were trying to build out of. And the other thing that happens is then once a church is established, once organized religion is organized, it's very hard to change it. We had an incident where we were trying to expand the bathroom in the basement. It was horrible. There was only one in the basement. And we were talking about moving some shelves. And a lady said, not to me, but said to another person in the church, I'm going to get my gun if they move those shelves. And that's the kind of attachment people have to keeping things the way they are. We know that you don't move a piece of furniture inside the church. You don't change the color of the carpet. My mother's church split over which hymnals to use. Once that things are established, it's very, very hard to change them. We had at the last church I pastored, there was a banister that someone had found. I don't know where they got it. And they didn't either, but they were committed to it. It was on the front of the stage, but it hung off the edges of the stage. And they didn't want to change it or move it, or they wanted it there because they I don't know why. But someone in the middle of the night came in and just cut it in half and stuck it in the back of the stage. And once it was done, nobody could go back and put it back together. But it was that hard to change things within the church. And if we're saying the church needs to be totally reimagined or re-engineered or whatever words you want to use there, it's people have just found it impossible to do that from within. I know if you keep your church really small and you control it and keep your grips on it, you can keep it exactly the way you want it, but you're not going to change the face of organized religion globally from the inside. And again, that's just my opinion. Imagining that the church is under attack only proliferates the problems we have. Dismissing any input as some kind of persecution only keeps us stuck in ineffective systems, and it bypasses any real solution. If we're inside the church, we know that we even admit my church is not perfect. No church is. That's what we say. And so within that church, we'll say, we know it's not perfect, but it's, then when we start to say things like, well, if you're trying to change what we're doing, then that's persecution. But that just keeps us stuck where we are. And that kind of, I would think of it as lukewarm, as that thing that Jesus mentioned in Laodicea. It's just, well, we know our church is not perfect, but it's what we have and we're used to. And in fact, we're addicted to it. We like it. We like the way it is. And it makes us feel good. And on Monday, we kind of go back down and we then pre-use until we can come back again and get a good feeling again. Well, just imagining that the church is under attack whenever somebody questions what you're doing only determines that we're going to stay the way we are. Sometimes we say things like only God can judge. You can't judge our church. Who are you to judge us? You don't know us. But there's systemic problems. And maybe we want to start listening to those people that are hobbling out the back door as we're recruiting people to come in the front door. People are hobbling out the back door. They're wounded. Sometimes they have trauma. Sometimes they're upset. But maybe we should listen to them. Maybe we should do some exit interviews and say, why did you leave? And what do you see now that you're outside the church? Maybe we should pay attention to that review that they have of the church. It sounds like criticism. It sounds harsh, maybe at times, but can we listen to them and say, what did you notice? What do you see now that you're not inside the church? what are we not seeing? A person one time encouraged me. He said, the best thing you can do is say to one of your best friends, what do you know about me that I don't know about me? Because I can't see it. Maybe it's time to understand that Christianity is not under attack. It's not being persecuted, but it is under review. It's under a pretty scrutinous review right now because people are just, maybe it's the 500-year garage sale that Phyllis Tickle talked about. It's time for a change, a big change, a revolutionary change, and it's under review right now from the outside. I tried just to forget about church and organized religion after I left, to just say, well, just let them do their thing. They can do what they do. But it's hard to forget about your roots. It is the soil and the compost of my experience, and I still care that it may be damaging people. It may be promoting false narratives. And it may be leading people in the wrong direction. I care about that. And I advocate for those people because I see them when they come out. And I see that they're wounded. I see they've been traumatized. I see that they're angry that no one addressed their situations or their abuse or their trauma that they experienced. And people, it was very much like an organization. It was very much like a business. And they didn't get their needs addressed. With modern things like internet, and YouTube, and Zoom, this excess doesn't make much sense to a lot of us on the outside. There's staff and building and tithing and all of these things, all this billions and billions of dollars. And much of what we need, we're finding out here in the desert, we're finding outside of organized religion for free. And we don't have to have clergy supervise us to find true spirituality, to find our authentic self, to find satisfaction and peace and all those things that the church promised. We're also finding healing when we're not bypassing our healing, when we're not making excuses, when we're not too busy doing church stuff. A lot of us are finding healing. We're finding that shadow work that we needed or counseling that we needed. But I still think organized religion might be worth reimagining. Let me say very clearly, it's not to recreate a past version. We don't need to go back to an Orthodox version or a first century version or a third century version. If the review says we still need organized religion, then let's build it for the century and the times that we live in. And that's the 21st century. And I think really what's going to happen is that if we migrate towards our true inner self, and what it's been telling us for a long time, if we'll do that, then we'll build a world full of more authentic people. And then I think we'll discover we still don't need religion much at all. And that religion will just evolve with us instead of us having to evolve to fit it or fit the model that it's created for us. Maybe all along, the problem is that we've been trying to build the church, quote unquote, build the church. I'd like us just to follow the model that was in my third book, being be where you are and be who you are. I think when we really learn how to be authentically us, to nurture the divine within us, I think we'll evolve into people. And if we need religion, it will evolve right along with us. So I wish you well.